especially as women and Christian women, I think there's a great connector here in all of this, is that there are lies that we tell ourselves that steal our joy. But I think we add all these things up, we compound them all with massive interest growth that we wish we could get. It's too late.
Oh, absolutely.
That lie stills so much joy. Because we look at these things and we go, it's too late.
That means it's not worth trying.
Yep.
You have, like, again, you say it's intentionality, and I call it definitions. Because with intentionality, you are setting this word means this. This word means this. And when you do that, you have to intentionally think about what you have intaken in life, what definitions you've applied to yourself and to others, and then you have this terrible awakening of, I didn't recognize that I was actually defining this as this thing over here, and that's unrealistic, and I can't do that, and you just start unraveling the lies that society has convinced you because you have set the definitions of what it actually means.
Yeah.
It's intentionality. So if you have intentionally thought about how you're doing things, but you go, man, it's too late. You are assigning, I won't even try.
Yeah.
I'm giving up, because if something is too late, there is no purpose or reason to put forth effort into that, because there will be no payout. And as people, when we put forth effort, we expect to see payout. And that's not, like, it's not always a good thing, but as humans, I think we really do.
That. Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's, like, financial, or, like, if you're in a garden, when you dig a hole, I expect that when I move my hand like this, I'm going to pull dirt out. It just is. But when you say it's too late, you're not going to put forth any effort because you don't think it's worth it.
Yeah. Right. So
It's not worth it.
It's not. I can look at things, and we can do this in any season of life. This isn't dependent upon your age. This isn't dependent upon your skill level. This isn't dependent upon your relationship status. Like, it isn't dependent upon anything. If God gave you today, so you're still breathing, I'm assuming, because you're watching YouTube, then that's an opportunity. God, in his infinite wisdom and power, deemed it worthy to keep you alive today. Because all of us, regardless of age, regardless of anything, all of us have a day that will be our last day.
Yes.
That's just a fact of life.
Correct.
Okay? It all exists for everyone.
Some die young, some die old.
We have no idea why,
We all
right?
die in between.
Look, Ecclesiastes, the wisest man Solomon couldn't figure out why it happens the way it happens.
is.
It just is. Okay? The sun's going to rise, the sun's going to set. I'm going to live until I don't. Like, that's how life works. Okay? So God, the sovereign creator of all, deemed it necessary that you're alive today, that you're alive today, that you're alive today, that I'm alive today. We might not have tomorrow, but we have today. I have right now. Okay? How can it be too late if God, in his infinite wisdom and power,
There has to be a reason he kept you.
right? And I get that, because sometimes you look and you go, man, like, I'm this age, or we already got this far, or we're already in this much debt, or
I mean,
I've already ruined that relationship too much.
I'm 40, and we just pulled out credit card debt so that we could, like, move over here, and now I have a trailer payment that I'm due, and my children are all almost 18, so, like, I don't have any children. It is physically too late to parent them as a child only. Now I have to parent them as an adult. So, like, it is too late.
It is too late.
In that sense.
Exactly.
I have to put on that little caveat and that little asterisk sign, and then go, for me to parent them as a child. It is too late. But it is not too late for me to pour into their lives.
Right.
Because that doesn't stop.
Ever.
It's that butterfly effect that everything touches somebody else, and then that touches somebody else, and then that touches somebody else.
Right.
So if you're here, something you do today is purposeful.
Absolutely.
Well, I mean, everything you do today is purposeful.
Right.
But like, there is something, and you don't know it.
No.
So it's like this magical moment, and you don't even hardly ever recognize it. But there's a magical moment where something that you do, or something that you interact with, or somebody, or something is going to create something for somebody else, who then creates something for somebody else, and it's just exponential growth.
Maybe it's that person in the grocery store that you help. Maybe it is the unseen work you're doing with a toddler. Maybe it is something you say to your spouse that 10 years from now means something, right? Like, how many of us have been in a situation like that where something someone has said to us just stuck with us for some reason, and years and years and years down the road, for some reason, you're like, I think of that. You know, I just said this dumb Adele song that was on the radio 15 years ago or whatever, that like, just for some reason, that line really hit my husband and made him go, when he's climbing the corporate ladder and doing all of this stuff and we're working so hard to afford the house in the right place, but we're never even there because we're working all the time and our kids are in school and we're doing all this stuff, right? Like, and for some reason, that line playing on the radio as he's sitting in traffic trying to get to the city each morning and get into work was like,
I bet Adele did not create her song for your husband in that moment. It
I
just
would bet big money on it,
happenstanced. God did it. But like, it just happened that God used that song in that moment with your husband and the right circumstances to make a change.
Right.
Adele did not make the song for your husband. No. She made the song because she made the song. It was inconsequential to her in that moment for your husband. Like, it's not
like my husband even walks around rocking out to Adele all the time, right? Like, it was just like something that played, you know?
But it touched, like, this thing way over here that this person has no idea about this person, but it trickles down through the line and it matches the moment and it's useful.
And God uses it. And I think it's so important when we look at this and we go, if I have today, it's not too late. If I have been drowning in clutter and overwhelm, and that's just how my house has been and how my life has been for 50 years.
It's always been this way. It's too late for me to figure out how to clean my house.
It's not too late.
It's not too late to grab a trash bag.
No. Maybe your children are grown and you're dealing with all kinds of difficult situations in that. And you go, well, it is what it is. I lost my chance. You're alive today. It's not too late. Maybe it is someone that you need to forgive. Maybe that you need to forgive yourself. Maybe, right? Like, it could be so many things. But if you're alive, it's not too late.
No.
I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not saying you're not maybe having to work through these first 4 areas and heal. But
I think a realistic thing to think as well, like a little point, is that it would have been easier to start earlier.
Sure.
That is a real
absolutely
logistical thing that just is. It just is. Like, it would have been easier to start reading the Bible with your 2-year-old and to train them to do that.
Absolutely.
Instead of starting with your 21-year-old.
Right. If I would have been intentional back then, it would be very different.
It would be easier. That does not mean that at 21 you could not invite your child to a Bible study or do, like, there are still actions that are takeable and things that you can do to build it. It's just going to be slower.
Yeah.
Because you waited a little longer than you really should have. But that doesn't mean that you can't start where you're at right now, because in a month you're going to be stronger, and then in a year, and then for as long as God gives you breath, you will continue to get
Yeah.
stronger or better or more or
Whatever.
or less or
whatever it is that you're going for. Yes, because
work pays off.
Work pays off. And today, if I stop believing this lie that it's too late.
If we get out from underneath this wet blanket,
Yep.
if we have figured out that the blanket is only wet because society and ourselves and everything has convinced us that the blanket is wetter than we can deal with. You can still deal with all of this stuff. It's going to be hard and you're going to have to wiggle out from underneath that wet blanket.
Absolutely.
But you can do it.
Absolutely.
Come on, you can do it. It might take a day or two or a month. But like, come on, keep wiggling.
But
Get
if I
out from under it.
do it today, if today I go, you know what, okay, I'm not going to believe this anymore. It's not too late. Today, I can acknowledge that I believe these lies. I know they're lies. And if I could clear a little clutter, speak a little kinder, and do something that really does connect with knowing where my true blessing is, right? Like say, those are 3 actionable steps I can do today. Tomorrow, I will be 1 day closer, right? So I can go and I can say, okay, it's not too late. I don't care if I'm 85 years old. I can be done with the clutter that overwhelms my life and I can go clean out my silverware drawer, right? Like I could do that today. I could call a loved one and say, hey, I was thinking of you. I hope you're doing okay. How are you? Right? Maybe that's a 5-minute call. Maybe I was on the phone with a loved one yesterday for over an hour because they unexpectedly called me wanting something out of me. But then it just so happened that it opened up conversation.
It turned into an earnest conversation.
And I surprised everybody. Yeah, I dropped everything, went and sat in my office, was on the phone for over an hour, and got off of that call and walked out. And the whole household was like, what just happened? And I said, you're not going to believe what just happened.
Right?
That was amazing. Because instead of believing, well, it's too late, nothing's going to happen, blah, 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 it just happened. I say, you know what? I know you called me just asking for something, but how are you doing? How are you really doing?
I feel like
what's going on?
I feel like this is a Nike commercial from our childhood.
Yes.
All of these are lies.
Yeah.
And those are thoughts.
Yeah.
And you're saying, just do it.
Just do it.
Just do it. Just take that action.
Things will work out.
Do it.
Yeah.
Do something. Do anything.
Do something.
Take one step. Paint one fence post. Because every day if you walk out... okay, so like I'm a knitter. If I work on a project for 10 minutes, I'm 10 minutes closer to finishing that project.
Versus being like, I can't complete this project. It's too big. I got too much going on. I can't do it. And then you just never do it.
Some people can sit and knit for 3 hours and they've got 3 hours worth of projects. Wow.
It's amazing.
But like, I still did those 10 minutes or those 10 stitches and like, it's 10 stitches closer. Yeah, 10 stitches is not a lot, but it's 10 stitches closer to the end point than it was when I started because I put an action into it.
Yeah. 10 more than 0.
Earlier you said that you're talking about scrolling your phone and just, right. I kept thinking, well, okay, so some people think that they're better and they don't doom scroll. Because, like, some people don't do that.
Right.
But what do you do instead? Are
Right.
you reading a self-help book and just intaking all the knowledge but not doing anything? Are you...
You can listen to all the sermons you want to listen to, but if you're not applying them to your life, you're just listening. You're passively listening.
So you're just intaking it but not utilizing it. Put the book down and go do the thing. Stop planning the perfect room on Pinterest. Go paint so that the room looks better.
Right.
Stop wishing that you would have started sooner. Go do one step now. Stop thinking you're not enough. Do something so you feel like enough.
Stop thinking it's too late to pour into that relationship and all hope is lost. And instead, pour what you have.
Invite them over for a cup of coffee and sit there.
See how they're doing. Say hey.
But you're talking all actions. Stop buying lies and just do it.
Because these thieves, these things we believe, they're thoughts that we believe, and they stop any forward action.
They do. You feel paralyzed in your overthinking of it, and then you are, it's like this cyclical wheel where, well, I'm not enough. I can't do this. I don't know what I'm doing. How do I do this? This is too late. What am I doing? And then all of a sudden, while I'm painting that wall, I'm like, oh, I'm buying the lie. I can't do this. I'm done.
And then there it sits and lives forever. And you just feel like you get buried under it.
Yeah. Take a step. Do anything.
Do anything.
It'll make you feel a little bit better. Not necessarily in the moment.
Right. And maybe even the thing you do isn't the right thing. Or you do it wrong. Or you goof it up. Or whatever. Guess what? That's not a failure. That's you stepping out. And right, faith without works is dead, because your works don't save you. But if you have all the faith and you never live it out, what is that faith for? Right?
You're the only one
The servant
saved.
who goes and takes the master's money and just buries it and leaves it there, the master reams him a new one because he's like, what are you doing?
You're the only
you misunderstood the whole thing.
Was the only one who benefited.
Yeah.
And the master did not give the servant something so that only he could benefit.
Right.
It was for the benefit of the estate.
Right. Yeah, like the whole thing. And so maybe you do something and you go, oh man, I totally botched that. Well, guess what? I just learned one way to not do it. And so now when I try next time, I can learn from that and I can grow in a different way, right? Like there's always that chance if you still have breath, because one day you're not going to have that. So why don't we make the most of it? And I know that that can be so hard in the season, in the moment, in the whatever it is that we're dealing with. But we remember the truth that God gives us all throughout his word. And we apply that just piece by piece, bit by bit. Even if it's just conquering that voice in our head that the enemy keeps just whispering and whispering.
Instead of repeating to yourself, instead of letting that voice repeat over and over in your head, you're not enough. You really screwed that up. It's too late.
You have to do all of this. You have no help.
My goodness.
This is all on you.
Right. Like, if you're letting that voice take over, you have to have a voice that is reassuring you, be louder.
Yeah.
So when I was sick and I had to have blood taken all the time, I had to have an IV all the time. My veins do not like IVs. It is very painful. I would have to repeat to myself, and it's going to sound all woo-woo, and this is not saying, like, I can do all things, like, no. But I would repeat that all things work together for the good of God. All things work together for the good of God. Because it reminded me that,
I know this stinks right now.
Oh, this sucks so bad. Oh, it hurts. This is physically painful. This is mentally exhausting. I am done. But you know what? Something is going to happen, and it's going to be used for the greater good of God.
Yep.
And I just would repeat that to myself over and over again. And a nurse caught me doing it. And she was like,
You okay?
You okay? And I was like, I am telling myself that this is for the greater good of God. And she's like, oh, well, of course it is. Like, that's how it all works. Everything works for the greater purpose. And we, like, kind of conversated for a moment, but, like, it is. You have to repeat a mantra or a verse or get a thought. Take that other
So we're told to take our thoughts captive. Yes.
Take that other voice and kick it out and repeat a good thing over and over again, because that's how you keep it captive. You have to keep the good thing on the forefront of your mind instead of that mean, awful, angry, I'm not enough voice. You have to keep a voice or a thought that's like, no, I am enough. God gave me God gave me skills. I can do all things.
Even if that includes sitting here going through very, very painful medical
Yes.
treatments because something is
Yes.
wrong with my body, God will give me the strength to get
Yes.
through this here today.
Yes, because this is my low, and God will give me the strength, and I'll get through this. Everything works together for the good of God. I can do this, right? Even if that's the mantras that you have to repeat to yourself, keep the other thoughts at bay. Keep them captive. Don't let them take over.
Yeah.
Drown them out.
Yeah.
Drown them out. It's really hard to
It's hard.
do.
But guess what? You do it one day, and you go, okay, I did it one day. And guess what? When you go to do it tomorrow, it's going to be a little bit easier. And the more, right? I always use my noodle arms as an example. I have very long arms.
Yep.
And zero muscle. I call it my fleshy patch where muscle's supposed to be. If I would do a push-up a day, eventually I'd get to 2 push-ups, and then 3, and then 4, and then 5, and I don't know, I'd probably cap out about there. But I would get a little bit stronger every day.
You sure would.
And I wouldn't just have little noodle arms, okay? Because the more I do it, the easier it's going to be. Right now, you guys would laugh hysterically. If I had to get down on the floor and do a push-up, it would be the saddest video you've ever seen on the internet, because you'd be like, oh, that poor little lady in her noodle arms. She's not going to be able to get through this. It's going to be bad, okay? But if I kept at it, maybe I should do push-ups on the norm. Like, I always use this as my example. Like, how many years have I used this as my example? I'm like, maybe I should do some arm workouts or something. But, if I kept at it, eventually, I might be able to go like this, and you'd see something other than a noodle. And you'd be like, wow, look at that.
That work really paid off for you.
That work really paid off. But any of us can do that. Any of us can go, you know what, you're right. It's going to be really hard today.
On day 1, we wouldn't look at you after you went like this, and we'd go, oh, that work really paid off.
You'd go like,
nobody,
you're right. I see the fleshy patch where muscle should be.
nobody would do that
No.
because you're in the middle of it, and like that doesn't invalidate the work that you're putting
I
in.
can feel it. Right. I could if I
It
did
does not invalidate it. You put forth a lot of work and a lot of effort, and you are growing stronger.
It's not going to be apparent to you.
Just because other people don't recognize it doesn't mean that you're not doing the work. If you're doing the work, you're doing the work.
Yep. But maybe in a month, I'd go like this.
Maybe then everybody would see your muscles. Big buff arms.
I'd be Popeye one day and be like, oh, you see it now,
the beach
everyone.
is that way. The day you walk out in a tank top and tell me which direction the beach is, I will know that you have succeeded.
Welcome to the gun show.
You will have succeeded in your ideal muscle definition.
I don't know why I think of the things I think of, but I don't know. That's the
Because
thing
these are the candid conversations that we end up having.
So in this episode, Heidi has noodle arms. Grab the free intentional prayer challenge that I've got down there. Like, it's to be a help and a piece in this as we have these conversations and go, man, maybe we're not alone. Maybe there are some other weirdos out there that have noodle arms. I want to work on them too. Maybe this is not just us being alone and cast out and having to take it all on by ourselves. We can have community. We can have support and encouragement in all of this. And so if that can be a blessing for you, please like the video, share it, pass it on to someone else, get the thing. We want this community to grow and to be a place that we can feel encouraged and equipped in the real things of life, right? The real things that make a difference, not only in our day-to-day, but deep down in our spirits as we all grow each and every day and want to live out whatever it is that God's put before us. I genuinely do think the last lie here in this series of 5 lies that are absolutely stealing your joy is really the biggest one, because they all add up to this. So continue watching through the series right here so that you can see these 5 different lies that might be impacting you a little bit more than you realize. Be sure to like this video, subscribe, and turn on the bell notifications if you'd like to see more. Otherwise, right here. Keep on keeping on, and let's move past these.